really bad with others. Whatever, I'd say to myself, it's 18 bucks. If I was working in this, I know this sounds terrible, this was just me. If I was working in the city, I'd be paying for parking. It's 18 bucks if I get a ticket today. Whatever. So I called Chris one day, I said, how can I deal with these tickets that I'm getting? I've got 5 this month. He's like, send in a check, on the bottom of the memo, say, parking. Keep a copy of the check. That's so brilliant.
Well, it's a valid expense. Just because you broke the law doesn't mean we can't take it as an expense.
Now, of course, once they got more expensive, of course, I couldn't justify doing that anymore. But anyway, I just thought I'd share.
Well, since her parole, she's doing really well.
Yeah.
Land Resources gave her a chance, yes.
I have a question. I handle bank properties sometimes.
Okay.
This past year, they required that I put the utilities in my name. I would pay the utilities and they would reimburse me. Wasn't my favorite thing, but that's what we had to do. Any repairs done on the house, same thing.
Now,
And
was it just because you were the listing agent? They
Yes.
wanted you to do, okay. good.
Well, and I've never done it with other bank foreclosures,
Right.
but that was their spiel. But they insisted on me providing a 1099, and at the beginning I said, but you're not paying me, you're reimbursing
You
me.
mean a W-9?
I'm sorry, a W-9.
Okay, and I'll explain what that is. Go ahead.
So I had to do it or not get reimbursed. But they just issued a 1099 for the year,
That's insane.
which really means that I'm being shown as having
Well, of
income.
course we can take that off completely. So
Right.
how I would handle that, because
Yeah.
this does happen. Okay, so what's happening here is that the bank is forcing her to be on the line for different utilities for this foreclosure, but they're reimbursing her 100%. So so that should not be a 1099 because she's not a vendor in that case. She's
Right.
actually paying bills on behalf of the bank is what she's doing. She's acting as the bank's agent in that case, right? So she's not a vendor. You're not subject to the paying you over $600 rule. I got to give you a 1099, which is the rule, right? So, but what you do on that is I take that 1099 on your tax return, and I don't put it with your real estate Schedule C at all.
Okay.
I have a separate Schedule C under miscellaneous that puts the income down, and it says amounts reimbursed, from the bank for bank foreclosure. This is not income. So it's going to give you so. The most important thing is matching with the IRS. You got $6,000, because I'm showing the gross. They want to see that, great, on some Schedule C line. So it matches. But then they're not matching the net, but then you're showing it distinctly separately with a note on the other expense line. And I can help you with these. Then that's what you've done. You don't want it commingled with your resources 1099, and you want to show it distinctly so the IRS has it. We're showing the gross income, but you're not showing any taxable effect from it.
But is there a different way if I get that situation again that I work with the
Right.
bank?
Well, you're not a
Ask them
vendor.
to
I'm
do?
not giving you my W-9. You're reimbursing me. I'm acting as your agent. So it's really you're giving a 1099 to yourself. And if you think what I'm saying, like you're simply acting on behalf of the bank. The bank's responsible. You have no responsibility at all. And I would say don't do it. No bank, you hire a trustee with your money to do that. So that's what I tell them.
Okay,
It's like
so
I
don't accept it
I don't know.
in the first
I'm a
place.
listing agent. That's like taking someone off the street. Hey, you want to sign for these utilities? So I say no. So I'm not doing
Yeah,
it.
it's crazy.
You got to push the bank. A trustee should be assigned, and they have them at the bank. They have legal people, legal departments, and if you have a problem, just get me on a conference call.
Okay, thank you.
Does that make sense to everybody? Because people will push off anything on you.
Especially the banks.
All right, so now, introduction. Some are a blend of personal and business. Home internet, security systems, telephone. Now, the rule is, if something is partially business related, use a business check. Like I hope all of you have a separate account just for business, even in your name. For money coming in and money going out. Should we know? And if you're going to take money out of it for personal use, you write a check to yourself, put it in your personal account. Right? So we should have a separate checking account. But if something is even partially business, we write it out of the business account, and at the end of the year we can take out a personal portion. That's easier for me, right? If I have you and your kids on your cell phone plan, I want that out of the business. Oh, Chris, I have my daughter on with me, so it's 50-50 me, I can easily take it out. As opposed to trying to go to your personal account, give me a total. So if it's even 1% business, it flows through the business. At the end of the year we can talk about removing a personal portion. It makes the accounting for it much simpler.
So
Yes.
What if you have a separate credit card and everything for the business?
That's
on the
great.
credit card?
That's
Is
great.
that equal as separate checking account?
Well, it's a credit card account, but we just wanna make sure it's a credit card where we can get a summary at the end of the year.
Okay, which they, American Express
Right.
does give
Right,
us
they'll,
summary.
American Express is great, they'll give you the summary by category, but then the detail within each category, which is good for me. That's fine.
Do you need to save your receipts from everything, or is that itemized?
If the
summary
detail is enough on the,
sufficient?
if Amex is pretty good with detail on their statement. So, that's why, that usually suffices. But if you write a check for something, that's what I'm gonna talk about. Checks are very important. So as opposed to a credit card statement or even a bank statement with a direct debit or a debit memo, a check, if something's paid with a check, even if it's an online bank check, that is the evidence of that expense. I'll give you a quick example with a real estate attorney in North Jersey. He does a lot of closings, has about 300 checks a month. PNC. State Bar came in. State Bar is worse than the IRS. They can pull your license that day if they feel you're doing something inappropriate. So he has all his bank statements, but they said, all the checks are going to be in a vault online. Of course, that's only 60 days. So they want to charge him $5 per image, times 300 times 12, which is not going to happen. But because that is the evidence. Even I have all my Verizon bills, everything, no matter what it is. If I don't have the check, they'll ignore it. So that's why canceled checks are vital. You need to get them every month, not click and print. I want a downloadable PDF at the end of the month that has everything in it with checks on white sheets in the back. TD Bank does it, Bank of America. Chase will not do it. Wells has a hard time doing it. So you want to make sure you have your canceled checks, because if an audit comes up and there's a question, it's 2 years later. It's not tomorrow after I file, sometimes 3 years later. So having those bank statements, okay, here's all my canceled checks, we could easily see what it was. Trying to go to the bank is impossible.
What bank does it?
TD Bank and Bank of America will automatically give you your checks on white sheets without even asking.
If you pay the monthly fee to have that service.
$2.99 for TD Bank.
Yeah.
And Bank of America will do it for free.
I think
Chris-
whoever does it too.
Yes.
Can you just go back to the other one, the blended
This one?
personal
Sure.
and business? How did you say, like, for instance, if you want to take a portion of your home internet for a business, how did you say to go about?
Right, okay, so if anything is partially business, like for example, home internet service, we're going to take as part of the home office deduction eventually. So I want to pay that, or part of that bill through the business, maybe not the home phone. For example, I have my home Comcast bill, and I write a check out of my personal, a check out of the business, because part of it's going to be for business and part of it's personal. Right? That's how I usually do that. Or you can just write a whole check out of it and we pull out. With a big bill like that, where there is a big internet service and a big TV service, it's easier to write a check out of both. Because I want that internet and the telephone at home to be paid with your business account. I want your cable TV, you can't take that personally. So when I go online to pay my Amex, for example, I just go automatically through and I have to make 2 columns, personal business. I send 2 checks online every time.
But is it 100% that you're
Right, so
deducting
how do
for
we
the
know
internet?
how much of a percentage? So let's say come time to file.
That's gonna be based on the square footage of your house. But that's why I still need the total, and then we work on the square footage for home office, and then 3,000 square foot house, 300 square foot of office space, I'm gonna take 10% of that eventually. But it makes it easier for me if we get it totaled in your bank account. Okay, good, I paid this much for internet, then those particular categories, home security, ADT for example, can go on your home office. Cutting your grass, doing your gutters, all these things go into that. You give me a grand total of that little section, then I'm going to apply the percentage. But that adds up, and people don't take it. People pay a lot of money for lawn maintenance, for Ned Stevens and all this stuff. So when you keep track of it in your business account, that's easier. Like I said, we can at least have it in one place if you total it right. Then I take a percentage later. So you just have to worry about totaling everything that's even partially business and having that paid through the business. If we need to take a percentage, we'll do that, yes?
But you still have to pay, for instance, your grass bill
Right.
with 2 checks.
No, the grass bill I would pay with a business check.
So
If you
what
don't
if
have
we
full
don't?
price,
Like
why
what if we
grass
don't do
business?
that? What if
Because
we
it's home maintenance, part of your home office.
Right, so you can always so but what if we
God.
don't ever get to the point of doing that ideal way of paying and
Then we
we
can do
just
the
have one?
safe harbor and do 1,500.
Gotcha.
So
Why
it
can't
depends
Because
on,
if not, you'd have to do a percentage and you'd have to figure out the percentage.
right, well, you guys are totaling your expenses anyway, right, every year? And are you guys using a QuickBooks or using a spreadsheet or just doing it by hand? How do you guys normally do it? Right. And so an easy thing to do, just to give you some quick accounting advice, sometimes people want to do a spreadsheet where I have columns across and I'm posting things to it, but sometimes it takes too much time. So what I do is, imagine I have this, can I borrow this a second?
Yes.
Imagine I have this, right? So, and for every expense, I simply have it in the big letters at the top of a page. Telephones on one page, maintenance on another page, whatever else, travel, fuel, separate page. So I just do a spreadsheet that has different categories in the notebook tabs along the bottom, right? So, and I just simply go to that page. Oh, it's telephone. I paid it. No matter how I pay, I just put the date and the amount. I don't worry about totaling it right now. So it gives me all my categories at the bottom. Makes it easier for you. At the end, we just total it. So you having to worry about totaling it across, unless you're keeping your balance in a spreadsheet. So that way, I have all these separate notebooks, all these separate expenses, with a nice master list, and I can total it in 5 seconds. And you guys, I'm trying to minimize your accounting work. If you just had to go in and say, great, post things, without worrying about a balance and putting, right, imagine I go to my telephone notebook in that spreadsheet, right? So, yes?
So I was looking at, QuickBooks has something that like an expense system for realtors.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like you swipe and it records your mileage while you're driving, or
Right.
you take photos of your receipts. Is that like a good process to have, or like right now I got my Excel spreadsheet and
Right.
I tally it all up at the end of the month. But that to me seems like, unless I have to, drop the ball on something.
Well, I find, I was going to talk about mileage apps in a second too, it's in here. But the mileage apps, again, if it's a few years later, we don't know about the data, where it's going to be, can we get it, are we downloading it? So it's not practical. And they've been around for a long time. I've never met a practical app for mileage. Something that saves your receipts is great if you want to, or simply
Right.
keep them in a folder. It's easy to just, bless you, put them in folders by vendor, right? So I just want to keep my receipts by vendor by year. I have telephone 2016, and whatever else, fuel 2016, dues 2016. I just put them in there, if they're physical. If not, I keep them, saved in email or saved in a folder. So I've never had I've never gotten to use those apps, because you got to find it, you got to print it. If I need it, if I really need it, I want to say, here, give me your little accordion folder thing of 2015 with all my nice neat folders in it. That's you want it by type of category, by vendor, by year, and keep it somewhere. If I need
Capital
it,
One breaks that down for you.
what do you say?
At the end of the year, Capital One will say gas.
Right,
It's
That's
nice.
great,
It's
right.
already sub.
and that's something you would give me, that summary,
Yeah.
along with your summary of your bank account. QuickBooks is good if you can import your banking information and do it the right way. But the thing with Realtor, it's not like you guys have 100 transactions a month.
Right.
So it's not like that. I'm sorry. Some of you have more than 100 transactions a month. You're very successful. And I'm glad I'm here talking to you.
And I used to just throw all of my receipts into this thing. And anything I had, just because I was always on the run. And at the end of every year, I would be like this.
Right.
But what I did start doing after a few years was I did start keeping the gas in one, and I was able to keep them organized. But I would literally just throw the
If you
receipts.
can, you guys don't have that many receipts compared to other businesses. So as long as you're putting it in a spreadsheet and categorizing it, then you can have a monthly envelope. That's fine too, because it's not like I'm going to have to go through 600 receipts to find something. And I know it by date. So the most important thing is to try to get everyone to do the write-up and the accounting regularly, so we can look at things during the year, because you guys have cyclical variable income. We're going to talk about estimated taxes, right? So it's important to know at a few times of the year, we should be ready to do a tax return in case we have to. Okay, so Linda, right, she's all up to date. So it's July 15th, I should know through June 30th, are you, are things up to date? Are you together? Usually I talk to realtors at least that middle of the year. Where are you? Are we paying enough estimated taxes? Are you doing things correctly? So then it forces you to catch up, because you haven't done it.
And I would
since
go like
January.
this when he called me. I'd be like, I know why he's calling me.
Linda, we're talking right. Linda, you ready? Hi.
So one thing that I found super helpful, because the email receipts that you get, whether it's a tax donation or you've paid your dues, I always create a new folder that says taxes and the year. And I just move whatever email I get, even if I'm not sure if it's a tax deduction, if it's an email, confirmation, receipt,
Right.
I just throw the email in there. And then it has saved me the following year because I can go through and I can find everything. And that has been a big savings for me, is to make that folder.
Yes,
I can wait.
I think she's done.
Okay.
Do you get penalized for not making your estimated tax?
Yes,
When do you have to make
I'm gonna get into
by
that.
to not be penalized?
I'm gonna talk all about that.
At least.
So let's talk about mileage. Why do I talk about it? It's because it's the first thing IRS asks for proof of when you're a real estate agent, just for like a mini audit. They know they know that you're not keeping track of it. It's your biggest expense. They add it back and say pay the tax. So it's your biggest expense. Maybe not some of you. Maybe you have other expenses I'm not privy to. I don't want to step on toes. So it's vital. It's vital that you keep track of your mileage. And most time an IRS inquiry comes years later. It's not just yesterday. So the mileage apps might not even be here, right? So and sometimes it leaves you helpless to recreate your travel. Right? How many of you guys are keeping a daily log of where you're going? And if I need to say for 2016, your exact mileage was this, how many have it? I know Linda has it twice, 2 different places to be short, just to be safe. Right, so that's a problem because, and that's an easy one for the IRS. That's their slam dunk. They'll do that all the time. And they'll just suddenly you get a letter and you can't fight it because you don't have the information. It's hard.
Now, we can't include to the office, right? To
Well,
and from the office, but
Well,
we
it
can
depends
include.
because you're working out of a home office. So where is your office technically? You're really working from home in the home office, and you have to come here sometimes, but you don't
Right.
have to be here every day,
Right.
right? So
Right.
that's why having a legitimate home office taking the deduction helps you to take more mileage.
So if you deduct a home
Oh,
office, then you
reading that wrong.
can deduct your mileage for back and forth?
Right, I do that.
What
No
do you
doubt
get,
about it.
20, was it 20 cents a mile? No.
It's coming.
Oh.
Next slide.
I'm anticipating your needs. Mileage race, there you go. 54 cents in 2016.
Oh, that's good.
It went down because gas prices went down.
Uh-huh.
On average. So very, very important to know that when you're planning, that it's going down for 2017. Okay. So still keeping with the mileage laws, it's very important. Now, many of us don't keep track of our daily travel. I know at Resources that's not the case, but we don't. Under audit, this mileage deduction, which is often one of our largest expenses, can be denied if you don't maintain adequate records. Right now, I want to talk about, do you take
Right.
actual expenses or mileage? Does anyone understand that concept, or can I talk about it?
I do, because you explained it to me so many years ago.
Right. The higher the mileage you drive, usually better take the mileage method, or you can take actual. And so so when you get a car, lease or buy, you have to make an election at the time what you're going to do the first year you file. You can't change, which is a big mistake. So if I'm doing mileage one year, I can't say, oh, my actual is more expensive this next year. You can't do that. It's an election that they keep track of. So you want to really analyze it. I'm telling you, most real estate agents doing over $15,000, $20,000 a year, mileage is always better, 99% of the time. But you have to analyze it and make sure you're not changing. When you get a new car, new or used car, then you can make the election again. Sometimes people have 2 cars. So don't forget that if you're married and you have a spouse with a car, well, we're sometimes using that car incidentally. So sometimes when I do a Schedule C, I have 2 cars, right? So it might not just be your car. So remember that if you use another car, sometimes people don't think of that. I might be doing 1,000 miles on another car, and that's a $500 deduction, which is significant, especially for the high earners. So what are the basic rules? You can't have estimates. We need exact mileage. Each trip has to be itemized, and the business reason listed, and the mileage totaled annually, which I know I have the same face when I think about it.
I have it for every year.
Right. Right. So what can we do? How do we handle this and still? So this is what the IRS wants. This is from the IRS. Nice little grid, you guys have, I would have no patience for this.
Right.
So,
One more thing to do.
right, so what do? Like I said, I can see your reaction to this. No way I'm gonna keep track of my mileage like that. So that's the answer. So what can we do? Well, we have mileage apps we just talked about, which is, it's okay, but then what if they don't record it? It's a big problem. But what I tell my clients to do is I try to make things easy. I try to make your bookkeeping simple, but keep it within the law. How do we do that? Well, you guys all have a calendar. Are most of your appointments put in a calendar?
Yes.
Okay, a lot of times though, we don't put in an address necessarily. So all I need you to do, and you can be compliant, is to simply put a comma and a town at some part of that calendar entry. Meeting Chris Whalen, comma, Red Bank, New Jersey, whatever it might be. The reason why is I don't have the mileage there. What I can do is I can print that at the end of the year. If there's an audit, I can put it in a spreadsheet and say, oh, you went here to here to here. What's the distance between? They'll accept that. So it minimizes your requirement for accounting, and they'll accept that. You don't have to know the mileage. I know the date already. It's on my calendar. I know the business purpose because I know who I saw. You're already doing that. I just need to know the destination, not the zip code, just the town. That's enough that I can have a clerical person sit for 3 hours and I can get your total mileage. So that's something that you can do, and I'm going to check with you a month from now. If not, I'm not being your accountant because you can do that. I know you can do that little extra, right? So I would mileage apps I don't trust. I want to have something, and everyone should be downloading and backing up their calendars on a monthly basis, twice, right? Or
Constant. Mine is
double
constant.
backup. I
Mine is
call it
constant.
DB, double backup.
I actually have 2 calendar apps on my phone. Yes.
And so what else can you do? How do you help with your mileage? Well, when you're bleary-eyed and on the first of the year, whatever everyone has to do is go take a picture of your odometer that morning. So I have a picture of my odometer on January 1st every year. So at least it's going to show me a beginning and ending mileage of that odometer, which is proof of mileage, total at least. So they know real estate agents are doing 80-85% business. That's another way to show, oh listen, you took 26,000 miles. Oh look, I had 35,000 total. I only took 80%. So that's a very, very important thing to do regularly. And if nothing else, it shows an exact amount of miles you drove for the year. And they'll accept that. They'll accept that having them agree on a total mileage is impossible unless, and I came up with that years ago. And that nails your total mileage, which is the biggest argument. Well, how many did you really do? Well, I say 30. How do you know?
Do you need to have a date stamp on the photo?
I usually have the date it was created. It's right embedded in the JPG. Right, It's going to tell me when I do properties on a picture. It's going to tell me the date it was taken.
So we can all go take a picture today.
I would do that.
do that on your iPhone?
Right, still because again, I'm trying to. I do all my work as if it's going to be audited at a high level on purpose, so I could say to yours, here, sit in my office and look at this. Let me know if you need anything else. So I'm trying to give you ways to circumvent. So if you guys get a mileage audit now and you do that, and do your calendar, we can answer it 150%, and that's what you need to do here. When the IRS is going after someone, they don't think they're being dishonest. They just sometimes think they're being sloppy, so they're not complying. They really are not. They're not trusting your intentions. They're trusting your bookkeeping. So my thing is, no one waits for me. When I get an inquiry, I'm on top of it, and like in 2 minutes, and say, okay, so you're gonna check this out and get back to me tomorrow. And they want me off their desk. They do. You don't want me on you want me on your side of the desk. So, but this is just something so some of you are gonna get a letter about your mileage sometime. And at least you could, if you do some of these things, you could be really ready. And the quicker you answer the mileage one, the quicker they let you off. Because if you answer that one, because that's 90% of your expenses sometimes, a lot. So there's nothing to go after anymore. Plus they see you're really on top of it. So you're not messy. Again, it's not they don't trust people. They just want compliance. They think people have sloppy bookkeeping, which causes them to over-deduct expenses or under-report income. That's all it is. So that's what we're trying to circumvent that thought. And the quicker we can answer them really precisely, like I want to be CSI when I answer them. They're like, who's this? I went to a special accounting school, right? So cancel checks, very important. Like I said before, they're vital. If you write a check, you have to have copies, paper or digital, in your possession. Again, because they audit you for 2014, and you've written some checks and we can't get them, it delays them, it makes them think you're sloppy. Why don't you have a copy of your canceled check? Well, the bank told me I'd have to keep them, and they've done a great disservice. I tell all my bankers, all my clients have to have canceled checks. You can't tell them that. It's the vital deduction. They just want to save money, right?
Wait, but that's only if you pay with things. I mean, who pays with checks anymore?
You need to.
A lot of
A lot of people pay with a check. In case you do. If you don't, then this doesn't apply to you. Take a little break from my seminar.
No, you need to, not just for real estate. I ran into because I had to go back to court with my ex-husband. And I got, even though I'm in the right and he's completely in the wrong, that's been 25 times because I didn't have checks. Even though I had receipts from the doctors. and receipts from this and receipts from that. They threw it out because I didn't have the checks.
Right, a check specifically proves what account something was paid from, right? So I could have someone's parents are paying a bill, could be their auto lease. So it's important though, so, and then you're, in this situation, you had a quite very important, so, but if you have a debit on a statement, that's enough, because it gives you enough information. Right, a check just has a check number and amount on the statement. We can then see that, that's why we need a copy of it. Like so even if you write 5 a month, sometimes you have to write, it's important to have them. And you should have them anyway for yourself.
And then they want the individual check, if you have like the bank, what the bank statement says, they'll send you a photocopy. They'll have like 3 to 5 checks on one page.
On the white sheets.
They throw that out.
White sheets they're called. So you have the bank statement plus white sheets of fronts of the check with some of the most important data, when it was cashed and all that stuff.
But they want the individual checks. They don't want that white sheet. They want that, they want the front.
A lot of times they'll take the white sheets, it depends. If it's criminal matters I'm working on, they might want the actual check because they're not sure who really cashed it. But 99% of the time, they'll take a canceled check, you know, in a normal IRS inquiry.
So the page is not enough, you need to save your checks.
Yes.
But what if you pay with credit card online, like all of our, like,
That's not a check.
bad.
If you pay with a check,
That's right.
No, I'm paying with
well,
credit
then
card
we're not
online.
talking about that.
So it's okay to pay. You'd have to show a different proof if that's
Right, so
how you
on,
pay.
on the credit card statement, similar to a bank, like a credit card statement's gonna be similar to debits on a bank statement. It's gonna show you what it is. So I would like those receipts,
Right.
but I have that credit card, it's gonna show me who I'm paying.
Right.
That they'll accept that if I show, Verizon or Barnes and Noble or
Automatically
EasyPass.
deducted.
Right, I mean, a credit card, so anything credit cards usually, if I have the credit card detail, like even if you have the summary from American Express,
Yeah.
I still eventually will need all of the statements. Not the receipts for those, because it's gonna show me who you paid. So that's one, but remember, I need all the statements from the credit cards to have, because the summary is enough to do the return, it's not enough to show proof of exactly what went into your office that was summarized by American Express.
I'm sorry, Chris, we have not received canceled checks in years. The bank scans it, a white
Some
sheet,
banks
front and back,
don't.
but I don't get a canceled check in addition to that.
You can order it.
So what's my advice?
I don't know.
Banks.
You need to have copies of your canceled checks.
Some banks aren't
But
doing
physical-
that.
Yeah, no,
The
they
actual
don't do
check.
it, but you can
I-
order
right,
it
and
individually.
You could, but if they will not give you checks on a bank statement and you tell them you want it electronically, I'm not clicking and printing, I want them on a downloadable PDF in
Right.
one file per month with everything. If they don't do it, I fire them.
You can
But
down.
aren't you saying you want the original paper check
No,
back?
they don't do
No.
that anymore.
That's what I just
Just a
said.
copy.
So isn't that what you're saying? You
No, I want,
that?
I want, a copy of the check can just be on the white sheets at the
Oh,
end.
fine, okay, that's
Yeah,
fine.
no, the hard copies, no one's given them anymore for a long, long time.
Okay.
So you want, sorry.
It would be so much easier if they just gave back the checks.
Don't go.
No,
used
no,
to.
no, I'm very happy.
Estimated
with the way it is.
taxes, someone had a great question about estimated taxes. All right.
I don't
So-
know the answer.
Estimating your taxes properly and sending that to the IRS is a fundamental requirement if you're self-employed or earn income that is not subject to withholding. Especially all 1099s in the room who have net income must pay quarterly estimates. Failure to do so will result in penalties and interest. You cannot wait until you file your taxes to pay your balance due. Right, that was your question.
So you have to pay it before April 14th.
Well, right, so here's the example. So let's say in 2015 you had $10,000 in federal tax, you have to pay 4 quarterly estimates of $2,500.
Right.
April, June, September, January.
Right.
Or else you're late.
You can't pay it at the end of the year.
You can, but you're late. You can pay it, or you can not pay it at all, but when you have to pay it as you go. The reason why is if you're with a W-2 person, they assume that's done all year. And so, but when you're self-employed, I know, but you're paying penalties.
I didn't know that.
And what preparers do, they know that and they don't take the time to make estimates for you, and then they build in the penalty to the tax in your return and don't show it as a penalty.
And what is the penalty?
It could be up to 25%. Depends.
Oh my gosh.
Could be.
So if you have net income and your preparer has not given you estimates, then there's definitely penalties that are built into that return that you don't know about. And you should ask, I want to know, say, listen, I didn't pay an estimate, so I know I paid a penalty, but yet I didn't get a notice for it. That means you included it, but I just wasn't informed of it. So can you tell me all the penalties that I paid? Because you owe them to me, because they have to pay them. Because they're responsible for giving you advice. So anytime there's a late filing penalty where you had a tax preparer that didn't give you advice, he or she has to pay the interest and penalties.
Can you tell he's a little passionate
By
about
the
what he
law.
does?
And you're- Yes?
Yeah, but how you.
Just going back to like real estate taxes 101, should you file separate from your spouse?
That's a good question, and my system's sophisticated enough to do that. So every couple I have, everything, I have a report that's generated automatically that tells me is it better married filing separate or married filing joint.
Alright, so once you get all the information, then it's
Right,
is that the
exactly.
right thing?
Quite, right. The only time that happens is when you have like itemized deductions that could be limited. Like if someone has a lot of medical expenses, which are limited, there's a limit to what you could take. Sometimes if like for example, I had a couple that had a lot of IVF, right, trying to get pregnant. And so it was like $75,000, it was so big. But it made sense to file separately because her income was lower than his, and so we could take much more of an itemized deduction.
Now, should you break off all your, like your phone bill, should it be in your business name? All the bills?
No, that's a very good question. Does something I take a business expense have to be in a business name? The answer is no, it's the use of it. I have a lot of clients that have a lot of things in their business name that shouldn't be taken. So, believe me. So it's a use of it. I'll give you a quick example. I have a landscaper, he needed a couple of Ford F-150s, right? He goes to the Ford dealer, wants to get them used, he needs financing. He has terrible credit. Can't even get it with all the deals they say they have for if you're a late payer kind of person. So his mom bought them, but he's paying for it, and it's a legitimate business use. It doesn't matter it's titled to her. I just want it paid out of the account, of the business account. I don't care whose name it's in. Some of my clients have their cell phones in their mother's name, and they're paying a portion. He gives his mother $150 a month, and writes it out to Verizon. She includes it with her payment, with her half that she pays.
Follow-up question. On the bills, so you don't have to have your bills separated for business, your husband, you can have it on the same thing. You're saying use your business check in order to pay the whole thing, and then you just take it out that way?
Right, that's what I do.
Don't use your regular.
I want at least your business portion or 100% of it taken on the business, out of the business account. Then we could remove a business